And there it was, like, in that instant, I was like, wait, that's what I want to talk about on a podcast. Like, surely I'm not the only one going through these, like, disappointments, these hurts, these lessons I'm learning way too late. Like, why did I know this shit at 18? Like, where was this information, you know? I just, like, so I was really hyped up because I was pissed off. Had a shitty time, and I'd just been dumped over text by this guy who basically really reeled me in and did like a number on me. And again, I'm not playing victim. It sounds like I'm a victim. I was just, if I sound bitter, it's because, I was at the time 100% I was pissed off. But he did me a huge favor because he gave me that kick in the butt. And I just was like, that's it. Welcome back. We are on today with no guests. It's me and you today, just you and me. So welcome back on the Talk for This Shit podcast. I'm Angie S, the founder of angies.com. That's angie-s.com. Link in the show notes. Where I'm a health coach helping busy women fed up of trendy wellness bullshit look and feel younger effortlessly without Botox. Now we talk about what you eat, put on your skin, and do to feel good. Also, you know what? I'm not going to ask you to run through a field of wheat, eating a bowl of dirt, and slapping raw egg whites on your face. Seriously, who started that? So to work with me, you can get in touch via the website at angie-s.com, link in the show notes, or email me directly at hello@angie-s.com. So first off, I want to thank a couple of people. Thank you to Birgit Buenger, author and movement leader in understanding the different reasons why people can't sleep, as the context is important to understand the causes, for helping me structure those frequently asked questions. So thank you so much for your help to help get rid of the overwhelm. So that has been great. So thank you for your help, Birgit. And I'm so sorry if I think I mispronounced your last name and I should have checked that. So sorry about that. And also thank you to Kate Westerholt for helping me to choose sound bites for the last few weeks. It's basically me on a Sunday, very late, and going, which sound bite do I choose? So I just cannot choose, and it saves me literally an hour of literally going back and forth, going which one. So that's been really great. So thank you, both of you, for your support. So now this is episode 48. So I understand this is not a full year because it's episode 48. I realize there's more than 48 weeks of the year. But I actually recorded at the start of March 2019. So it has been over a year since I've actually been doing this. So I thought it'd be a great time to tell the story of how this podcast came about, give you some of the behind the scenes stories whilst answering some of the most frequently asked questions that you guys have sent me. And before I do this, I just want to thank two friends. One is Birgit Buenger, which is Buenger. If you go to my LinkedIn, you'll find her under my connections. You can go to Angie Sorensen. That's my full name. And so she's an author and a movement leader in understanding the different reasons why people can't sleep. And she really utilizes context, because context is really important to understand the causes for difficulty sleeping or staying asleep. And so I want to thank her for helping me structure these frequently asked questions and just narrow it down. So thank you for that, Birgit. And the second person is Kate Westerholt, because she has been helping me for the last few weeks in choosing the soundbite. And what it means is me on the Sunday night really late texting her, go, hey, want to choose a soundbite? And so I sent her 2 to 3 different clips, and it really has saved me like an hour each time, because I'm so undecisive. Sometimes I just know, and sometimes there's just so many different ones I want to pick from and I can't choose. So she's been really helping me with that. So a big thank you, Kate, for that. Okay, so now on to today's episode. Okay, so in terms of the behind the scenes and the questions that are being asked, this is one of the most asked questions that I've received, is how did the podcast come about? So, okay, basically, I was listening to podcasts for about a year or two, and I really, really enjoyed the medium. And it's really relaxing to just listen and not always having to watch video to learn something or be entertained. So I was really, really enjoying the audio medium. And I was originally thinking of turning my health newsletter and health blog into an audio podcast. But somehow I didn't really know how to make it, different to the newsletter and the blog. It didn't feel like that was the complete version yet. And so it was on my mind for a while, it was actually on my mind for a year of knowing I wanted to do a podcast, but I wasn't really clear on what the idea was going to be. And so, and then one cold Sunday morning in December 2018, I woke up, got out of bed, went to the bathroom, looked myself in the mirror, and said out loud, I'm too old for this shit. I'm too old for this shit. And there it was, like in that instant, I was like, wait, that's what I want to talk about on a podcast. Like, surely I'm not the only one going through these like disappointments, these hurts, these lessons I'm learning way too late. Like, why did I know this shit at 18? Like, where was this information? So I was really hyped up because I was pissed off. Had a shitty time, and I'd just been dumped over text by this guy who basically really reeled me in and did like a number on me. And again, I'm not playing victim. It sounds like I'm a victim. If I sound bitter, it's because, I was at the time 100% I was pissed off. But he did me a huge favor because he gave me that kick in the butt. And I just was like, that's it. And originally like the tagline, like if you like what I wanted to do with this podcast, when I put the word out, I wrote, this podcast is about all the things I wish I'd been told when I was 18. So for that, I've invited guests who have gone through some stuff and come out of the other side with an ability to laugh at themselves. We go over dating, divorce, mental health, sex, changing your life around, dealing with annoying colleagues, and many more topics. So that was what I used to send out to people. And yes, that guy was basically what pushed me to do it. So, fuckboy behavior does have some upswings to it. I don't know if that's the word, but it has definitely some uppers. So, that's how it basically came about. And I really, 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 really happy it did. And it's been an incredible journey. And one of the sub questions that you guys have asked is why did I keep doing it? Like, why did I get into it for, really? And the main thing is that I didn't want others go through the same that I did. I wanted to be able to empower others and also myself, because I was still looking, and I am still looking for answers. When it comes to health, and science, I love it. I'm completely into it, and I can help others, and I feel empowered, and I can empower others. And there was this area in my life when it came to relationships and just life in general, and business and, all that stuff. I had so many questions. I didn't feel really empowered in that. And so I was looking to empower myself, and I wanted to stop others not getting the answers any earlier. And I also wanted to make sure that I didn't want other, I say other people, I sound like as if the whole world is listening. That is not, by far, definitely isn't. But what I mean is that for you who's listening, I don't want you to feel that when you go through hard times, that you're by yourself, that you need to feel ashamed, that you need to feel guilty, that you can't reach out, that you're going through this by yourself, that no one else is. And I'm sure, I know this is not news to most people, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that when I was going through hard times, when I had my, nervous breakdown, when I had huge anxiety and panic attacks, I did not reach out. I did not know how to do it. And I wanted to approach this from this angle because I get it. It's not always easy. Whatever you're going through, and often sometimes you think you're the bad guy. You think you're doing it all wrong. And don't don't get me wrong, I mess up a lot. I am, when it comes to relationships, I find it challenging. It's hard to navigate when the stakes are high and you care about someone and you're not used to be seen, and and I mean all that stuff. If listen, if you're here today, you've probably listened to some of the relationship episodes. I'm not gonna bang on into it, but we all have our stuff, and I just want you to be happy with and making informed decisions, and don't feel like you any less for messing up, or for feeling you're not worth it, or any of this stuff. I just want you to know, and that's really important to me. And that is something that to me has saved me when someone else showed me the way like that. So I'm not saying I'm saving you, but look, if it can help you and it can give you a giggle along the way, I'm good. Then I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? So the second question is, who was your first guest you ever interviewed, and how was that like? Okay, so the answer is the first guest. I can't tell you who it is, because that first interview never saw the light of day. It happens. So the reason why that reason why I decided not to publish it is because that was like my very first experience. I recorded in March 2019. So just a few months after that cold winter day in December 2018. So basically, I didn't think that, the timing maybe wasn't right with me and the guest. I don't know. But one of the things in my first interview is that I did not know how to push back on some of the answers. I did not know how to necessarily get the best out of that guest. And I did not feel that when I was listening back to the interview, it was portraying that guest in the best light. You know what I'm saying? And that was on me. I did not make them justice. And that is not something that I wanted to do to a person who'd only been gracious to me the whole time. And also, that person, I put them on because I actually see them one day do a TED talk. Like they were fantastic, but just the interview did not come across. And we both agreed. Actually, I had a chat with that person a few weeks later because I was really struggling in my mind what to decide. And then if I did decide not to put it on air, like how to explain this to that guest. And that guest has been nothing but gracious when I mentioned it, and actually has been supportive ever since. So it happens. First things first, I can't tell you. All I can say is that, actually, I will tell you what. I'll give you this. I call it the pilot season. The first 7 episodes, I record them in a batch, okay? And so what I mean by that is I recorded them all, and then I edited them, and then I published them all at once. And they all got published in late July that year, 2019. And once I saw the response, and it was very exciting, and then I decided to carry on, and I decided to do it a weekly commitment, and I started to look for more guests. All of a sudden, it had been a few months since I interviewed someone, and all of a sudden, it felt like the first time. Episode number 8, I believe, was with Sarah Desange, and I was so nervous because, one, I was like, am I gonna be able to do as good of a job as I did in the pilot season as a newbie? Or am I now a bit more self-conscious because I understand now people are listening and there's more ears to it? Am I going to be able to be myself and push back, which I'd learned was what I enjoy doing. I like to, ask the questions. And so I was really nervous. And then actually for a few guests, sometimes I listen back and I was like, oh, I should have pushed back on certain episodes, certain episodes I realized I should have pushed back a bit more. But you live and learn. And so, weirdly enough, or maybe not weirdly enough, the first experience, I wasn't as nervous, but I did mess up. And that was completely on me. But then 8 episodes in, when there had been a few months since I interviewed someone and there had been a product, I'd put it out. I was like, am I going to disappoint? Is it going to be disappointing? Is it going to be good? Or, I was like, so that was how that experience went down. So let me look at the other question. Yeah, okay. So what has changed for you during this sorry, what it's really hard for me to read out other people's questions, so sorry. So what has happened so what has happened to you on this journey? Have you noticed anything change in you, in your life? So this is what I will say. There's definitely been ups and downs in terms of certain episodes. There was a lot of processing for me to do. I had to digest because, all the episodes I do here, they're personal to me. Like, they mean something to me. I only do an episode because this is a topic I want to tackle. It's something I want to learn about, or I want to get answers on, or this is a guest whose life is, has a meaning to me. This is someone who, the things, how they've gone through hardship. I want to learn from that. It's all personal to me. It all has a meaning, which is very different to, when I had a day job. And most of it didn't really have much meaning to me, but I was still working hard, but I was like for someone else. So you know what I'm saying? So there has been definitely some weeks where I could feel like the effects of digesting, especially the episodes around hidden abuse and, around eating abuse. Eating abuse. I meant eating disorders. Also, just a few others. Sometimes what I felt there is that I think it's Brené Brown who coined this phrase, the vulnerability hangover. It is a thing. It really, really is a thing. And I think for me, it's been a journey of forgiveness, not just towards others, because there's those things I realized during this last year, certain things I had to, I guess, tidy up in my life, behavior I could not accept from other people. But there's also, I had to forgive myself for still learning, I made a lot of mistakes. I still make them. I'm human. And basically, I just hope that this helps you too. Life isn't easy, but there's no reason why we ought to walk it alone. We really shouldn't. Whether it's alone, I mean lonely. Like, I'm alone in my flat, but I don't have to be alone, if that makes sense. And if this is helping you, I say that we should not be walking it alone. I say that, and I, even I still fight letting others be there for me and seeing me. And that's not what I wish for you. And this podcast has actually been probably some of the most open I've been ever, actually. I used to coin myself as very private, and I guess I am. But I've definitely opened up a lot. And I think that vulnerability hangover really, there was a point where I was like, I had to really sort of look at myself and go, okay, how much am I willing to divulge? And I put some lines in, what I was willing to and what I wasn't. And so, but it has definitely been, it's been like therapy, you guys. But at least I had some giggles along the way. So let me see the other. Oh, actually, someone asked as well, like, if there was one thing that you've learned from doing this podcast, what is it? So I know I already mentioned a few bits, but there's one thing I realized pretty early on was listening. That interviewing guests has really made me realize how much I need to be better at listening to those close to me, like in real life, like in the same room, and stop interrupting them as much. Because when I was interviewing guests, I realized, how much more quiet I needed to be, because my impulse to budge in, and I'm sure some of you are listening and go, oh my gosh, she's interrupting. Well, I'm actually worse in what is like, in conversations. So, I need to learn to let others speak. And I used to think I was a good listener. And I still think I am, but not always. There are times where I really learn to shut the fuck up, basically, and just really hear what someone is saying to me. So, yeah. Oh, the other question was, how did you come up with the topics? Okay, well, I'd say for that, obviously, because when I narrowed it down, the more interview, over the months, I realized actually there were certain things I preferred to talk about and others I didn't. And because I narrowed it down to sex, dating, relationships, health, which is both physical health and mental health, emotional and stuff. And misfits, being a misfit. Okay, I love misfits. So that obviously narrowed it down. So I sort of look within that. But usually what happens is that I either talk about the things I'm curious about or intrigued about and just really want to talk about. And sometimes that means that I can schedule content for weeks, and sometimes it's on a week by week basis, which is obviously a bit more pressure, not necessarily something I recommend. But so sometimes when I haven't got really scheduled it out, then I'm like, damn, what am I going to talk about? But then all of a sudden something happens, something comes up, and I'm like, there you go, that's what I'm going to be talking about. So it's almost like, sort of like going with the flow. Sometimes it really is, and sometimes it's really scheduled, so it varies. So the other question that someone sent was, how did the lockdown impact your choice of interviews? Well, basically, it was very spontaneous, and at the same time, all of a sudden became scheduled, because when the lockdown happened and all the stuff, went down, all of a sudden, everything became about stress, health, food, and sex, right? Because those were the things that were enhanced or diminished. Okay, so I invited guests on to talk about exactly that, and I also did some solo episodes around immunity and stress, and I realized that because of this whole thing that was happening to all of us, it gave me a focus on both my health coaching and the podcast, and it took me out of my shell, got my ass into a higher gear, and I became very productive for a while, for like couple of months. I was like productive. So it was like something outside happens to all of us, and all of a sudden it's like, damn, like, this is not about, are you self-conscious, are you lazy, are you this, you just got to get stuff done. All of a sudden I had more of a impetus to do everything. So yeah. Okay. So I just like to apologize in advance for this, because I can't believe I'm reading this out loud. But so I am embarrassed reading this question, because it sounds like I'm boasting, but I'm not. So, would you like to be a comedian at some point? You have a funny bone and a journalistic side to you. Would you like to expand on what you do right now? Is this a transitional tool for you? Okay, so I'm assuming you say like a tool like being the podcast, if it's transitional, and if I want to expand into stand-up or comedy and journalism. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much. That's like way too kind. I actually used to be a stand-up, and I wasn't that funny, don't worry. I mean, I used to find my own jokes funny, so, like that counted for one laugh. So at least not everybody's time was wasted. Well, at least not mine. So, yeah. And it's interesting you mentioned about, okay, so and then would I want to go back? I've been thinking about, I don't know. Maybe I'd like to try going back on stage. Obviously, at the moment, that's like completely gone kaput. But it was, I'm kind of wouldn't mind having that interaction with the audience again. Like, it's quite fun, and it's very, it gets the adrenaline going, So yeah, maybe. I don't know. And you were asking about if I wanted to get into journalism. So there has been a couple of times where a guest has asked me to remove something they said during the recording, and I was like, damn, that was a really great journalistic moment right there. Like, I mean, if I could call it that. No, I don't consider myself a journalist. I love journalism. I think it's very interesting, but I do not consider myself one. And now, of course, I'm aware that's not what you're calling me either. Your question is whether I would explore that avenue. And you know what? I really would love to continue to have meaningful conversations with guests. And I'm not sure if it is journalism or when it's a portrait of a guest or a deep dive into a topic. I don't know if it's journalism the way I do it. But I consider myself inquisitive, at times pushy, and often irreverent, Not words I used to describe myself as, but more like what I've started to describe myself from people's reactions, basically. So yeah, so that's it. So that's basically, today's episode. So today's like, short and sweet. I just want to also take this opportunity to say like a really, really big thank you to you all for listening, still being here, being on board. And, I hope you're sharing it with your friends, because You know, it all counts. It really does. It make a difference, you know, to be doing this for the audience to grow each time. So that does mean a lot. And yeah, and also I almost have my podcasting workshops ready. If you actually want to learn how to do this, and I'll show you what I do, and that's it. It's like just show you, just give you everything. Fuck it, you know. We need podcasts out there. I think it's an amazing medium. I love it. And then once that's done, I am also going back into doing some health workshops, like online workshops, and just help you like demystify all this marketing bullshit out there, because there's a lot, and that's what pisses me off with the health industry, whether it's the diets and the skincare and also we saw this now with even, you know, around immunity and disease and stuff. And I think it's important to be informed, and it's important to also realize that it's not like one way fits all. You know, it's like with shampoo. You've got a friend, she's using a shampoo, it's great for her hair. You use it, it's shit. You have to wash it every other day because it makes your hair greasy, you know? Like, it's like, not everything is, so you think shampoo is not, you know, isn't like one shampoo is not for everybody. Imagine for your health. Your health has to be custom and personalized, and also your health changes over time, okay? Your skin, your metabolism, your immunity, everything evolves all the time. Everything evolves over time. And so your lifestyle changes, your stress level changes, so your needs change. And all of that is so, so important to realize. And that's why I have a huge problem with people labeling themselves as like know-it-all and gurus, and not admitting that they could be wrong, and just saying everybody should be this and everybody should use that cream and everyone should be a vegan, everyone should be a carnivore, everyone, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I can't. It really gets my skin to crawl. I think anything in life should never be this dogmatic. The only thing we know is that we're going to die. Basically, that's going to be the same thing for all of us. We're all going to die. But what happens between birth and death is going to be so unique to you. And that's my approach. It's like, you need to learn to, you know, I help you understand what makes you you. What makes you feel better? What makes you feel younger? What makes you feel stronger? What makes you feel good? What makes you stop farting? What makes you help you sleep? What makes you all the things. Although having said with sleep, you need to go to Birgit Buenger. Buenger. Yeah, find her on LinkedIn. So yeah, so what I mean is that, you know, I just want, you know, with everything I do, my goal is to basically empower you. That's all I want, is to empower you. And if I can do that, that's it. I'm sweet. Good. Done. You know? That, I believe, is actually my mission in life, is just to empower the people, because I know what it feels like to be disempowered, and you disempower yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what I want you to be. So I want you to be in a good place. And I just want to, with this, I'm going to say a big, big thank you, a big kiss. And I'll see you next week. Next week I should have a guest on. So yeah. Have a lovely week, everybody. And I hope you're well, and I hope you're safe, and I hope you feel good. Bye. And that's our episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to rate, review, share it, subscribe it on iTunes, follow it on Spotify, or whichever platform you listen from. However you show love is how you can support this show. Drop me your questions or suggestions for future episodes via the website at angie-s.com, or come and find me on Instagram. I have 2 accounts. One is at Tool for This Shit Podcast, and at Health Expert Angie, link in the show notes. See you next week, and until then,
using health inappropriately.